Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Tony Katz. The name of the show is Tony Katz Today. This is the Munchener from Vladimir von Riest. This is a mechanical, and you can get this at Von Riest, RIESTE.com. That's where you get your watch. Indiana made, vonriest.com. Use promo code CATS and get yourself a nice deal. We're going to see some JFK files. We have got some nonsense on buyer's remorse. Oh, and Iran is threatening America again because they're such cute Islamists. That's all coming up. Smoke them if you got them. Let's start a show. Show me the JFK files. I don't mind. I mean, I more want to see the Epstein files. I mean, that's what I want to know. Who was involved with this pedophile? Who was involved in the sex trafficking of young women? I want them to go to jail. I don't care about their last name. I do not care about their political affiliation. But if you want to release the JFK files, all right, I'll take a look. I'll see what it is you have to offer. I'll continue to marvel, just like you do, that today's political left, so lost, so broken, so leaderless, they look at Venezuelan gang members, Tren de Aragua, train of Aragua. That is what it translates to. This is a call to, a happier day. It's not really. They're being deported, and the left is opposed to this. And even Representative Tim Burchett, a Republican, Tennessee, going on CNN is like, what's wrong with you people?
Oh, but so no matter what a judge
he's taking the side of a bunch of criminals.
He hasn't taken any side yet. Congressman, he hasn't taken any side yet. All he's done is put a stay on the White House action here so that he can review their use of their novel use, frankly, of the Alien Enemies
Oh, come
Act.
on. These guys, listen, the difference between God and these judges is God knows he's not one of these judges. They're arrogant. They practice this type of thing all the time. And if you had a conservative one doing it, you all would be raising total hell.
Again, Congressman, this isn't a question about the media.
All factual from Representative Burchett in every way. The novel use of a piece of legislation does not make it an illegal use of that legislation. Well, that's what the judge is there for. Is that what the district court judge is there for? To decide that the president of the United States cannot decide immigration policy or determine deportation and deportation levels? Come now. If you believe that, you don't actually believe in America. I was told, on good authority, by the way, you can't just love your country when you win. This is what the Democrats told me, and I was just curious if they were lying, because it sounds like, listen, I'm no expert. Wait a second, hold on, I might be. It sounds like that they are lying. And they lied about the idea that you have to get rid of the filibuster. And they lied about you can't only love your country when you win. They seem to do that a lot. Tony Katz, that is me, Tony Katz today. So good to be with you. 833-GOT-TONY, 833-468-8669, 833-GOT-TONY. That's how you get to be a part of the show. We live stream of the show. You can head over to the Twittix, that's Twitter X at Tony Katz, Facebook Tony Katz Radio, YouTube, Rumble. It's everywhere, my people. Just search for Tony Katz and check out the live stream, and you can see how good I look in real life. Ladies, try not to get pregnant. The story is that the war has not stopped in Israel. You have Israel now engaged in a bombing of Gaza, which I thought was going to happen last weekend. And these strikes, I would argue, were to stop Hamas, which was already rebuilding. The ceasefire was always dangerous. Don't get me wrong. I wanted to get Americans home. I wanted Israelis to be able to get back home. Thai nationals who were taken hostage, get back home. This is what you would want. I absolutely. But while that was happening, you had the ability for Hamas to refortify. You know that Israel clearly does not know where all the tunnels are. They don't know maybe where all the fortification is coming from, whether it's through Egypt, through boats, other things. And you know that Hamas was building itself up. Would anybody believe for a second that taking back all of these Palestinian, quote unquote, Palestinian prisoners that Israel had, these people who were involved in acts of terrorism, involved in acts of violence, you don't think they're still going to do just that? Are we all going to play make-believe here? Because that would be very, very foolish. And I would argue that part of the reason Israel is doing this is that they wanted to ensure that Hamas could not engage with them, degrade their capability. Now, this would lead one to believe that as close as Israel was to ending Hamas, they didn't. And part of it could be that Israel underestimated exactly how much Hamas had in reserves. Did damage to Hamas? Absolutely. End Hamas? No. And Hamas has to be ended. And the people out there who want to scream that Israel is guilty of genocide, doesn't matter what they scream. Let them scream. In every situation, there are people who will absolutely side with the worst, with the enemy. They'll side with the evil because they have no moral compass. They have no decency. Let them scream. Let them yell. Screw them. They don't mean anything to us. What matters to us is certainly the terrorists be destroyed. But in this situation, we have to ask ourselves, what is it that Israel hopes to gain regarding hostages and an end to this war? This attack, Israel on Gaza, comes just a day after the United States, or 2 days after the United States engaged a serious bombing in Yemen of the Houthi rebels. This absolutely not only about the threat they pose around the globe, but shipping lanes and dollars. I had somebody, and I do love it, man. I love when people share with me, and they're like, "Hey, listen, the situation with the supply chain. You know, we don't get our goods through the Suez Canal; others do." And I appreciate the sharing with me this from something called supplychaindive.com, going back to 2023, and what it is, where what nations use certain routes. I wouldn't argue that I have an expertise in how many goods coming to the United States flows through the Suez Canal. I can argue this, I believe, with efficacy. If American ships carrying goods are being attacked by the Houthi rebels, that's bad for commerce and that increased costs. Even if one should argue that goods are going to China or going to India, the cost increases of not being able to travel the Suez Canal because the Houthi rebels are engaged in these bombings all throughout the Red Sea, increase costs for a product that then comes to us, we might utilize in another product or as an end product. Costs do rise. So even if it's not a good coming directly to the United States, one could argue that you've got a great number of goods that eventually make their way to the United States or are utilized by U.S. businesses to create their goods. There can be no question, and I'm not saying the person who sent me this is questioning it, not in the slightest, but there cannot be no question. There cannot be no question. There cannot be any question. Much better, Tony, that the Houthi rebels need to be stopped, that the navigable seas are at play. And Joe Biden did nothing. Donald Trump is doing something. And I'm already seeing, like, sometimes you see something on social media and you're like, is that even real? And it was Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson saying we shouldn't be doing this, and this is not a threat, and going after the Houthis, and this is just warmongering. And not everything is warmongering, and not everything is nice. I'd rather be left alone. As much as I would rather be left alone, that doesn't always happen, now does it? And you have to deal with the enemy where the enemy is. Are the Houthi rebels the enemy? Absolutely, but the real enemy is Iran. Iran is now threatening the United States, and I believe it goes something like this. You can quote me here. Let me see if I've been working on this impression. Ooh, that was it. That was not bad. That was not bad. Can I get a little something? No? Yes? No? No? Forget it, producer Landon. You're late to it, man. If you were gonna, I mean, come on. I practiced that impression like 2 minutes before we went on air. Like 2 minutes I practiced that impression. And where were you? Nowhere to give me the applause and backup I needed. Being with me in spirit is one of those things people say. It doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. Iran is threatening the United States with a devastating response. I saw a devastating response open up for Oingo Boingo in 1987. Iran will never be the one to start a war, but should we face a threat, our response will be firm, decisive, and conclusive. That actually, firm, decisive, and conclusive is on my Tinder account. No. Really? Come on. Good gosh. Try and get that from Glenn Beck. That ain't going to happen. Iran will never be the one to start a war, says General Salami, which is spelled salami. It is. Iran will never be the one to start a war. But should we face a threat, our response will be firm, decisive, and conclusive. What do you mean you're never one to start a war? You fund Hezbollah, you fund Hamas, you fund the Houthis. Who are you talking to? You'll never be the ones to start a war. What? Do you believe what you say? Because, we see you and we know you're full of crap. We are fully prepared to safeguard our interests, values, identity, and legitimacy. Any threat against Iran will be met with a crushing, decisive, and destructive response. Okay. Wasn't it Israel that just started blowing up houses in Tehran and killing Hamas leaders right under your nose? The Israelis were able to put the bomb in the building materials. They were there during construction. I'm just saying that getting to you guys has turned out to be really easy. Super easy. But taking it a step forward, you're the ones who start the wars. You're the ones who start the fights. Hamas does not exist in a vacuum. They attacked and murdered 1,200 and kidnapped, took hostage American citizens because of you. Who are you threatening? What is this tough guy thing you got going on? We know who you are. We see you. And for the record, if we feel like it, taking you out is on the table. Now, I don't think Trump actually wants that. In that, I don't think that Trump is a guy who wants the fights. Willing to take on the fights is different than wants the fights. And if these bombing raids on the Houthis can stop the attacks on ships in the Red Sea, in the Gulf of Aden, then that's going to be that. The sanctions on Iran are absolutely going to continue. But I don't think there's any coincidence, as I thought there would be attacks on Hamas a little over a week plus ago. I don't think it's coincidental that you see the attacks on from the United States against the Houthis, and then you see this move from the Israelis. There are some Israelis who believe, okay, we've given up. We've given up on the hostages. We're not getting them back. They're not coming back. This is over. Where they're all going to lose their lives. And there's real anger at Benjamin Netanyahu. The other side of that is that we've done this as long as we can. We've tried as hard as we can. Eventually, this comes to an end because Hamas is never giving back these hostages. They're never giving back these guys. Their bodies were never going to get back. Understand that Israel is willing to give back hundreds of Palestinian terrorists and terror-related people for bones. We do understand what we're talking about here, right? They so value life and being able to engage a proper burial and respect and memory that they're willing to give back terrorists for bones. Think anybody in Hamas would do that? No, because the people of Hamas and the people who support Hamas have no consideration for life or decency. Absolutely none. They are only interested in the death and destruction. And who else can they destroy? Whether that be Jews, whether that be Christians, whether that be America and Western civilization, it makes no difference to them. All those cosplayers on college campuses talking about free Palestine, good Lord, they just want to destroy America. And deporting those who can be deported is absolutely the right move. But here we are with some major moves. This now coming into play with the phone call between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump regarding what? A ceasefire in Ukraine. We'll see how that goes. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. I'm telling you right now, that line was gold, and I don't appreciate y'all not applauding. You think this is easy? Yeah, we've been the Oingo Boingo line is a Fingers Malloy line. That's what that is, right? Look at what's going on. Yeah, that's what I don't have any like cheering on my soundboard built into StreamYard. I've got it on my board here, but I don't have it there. I got to get it there. I get some cheering. Got to make that happen. Haircut is on the list. That's happening because it's just so necessary. Major Mike Lyons scheduled to be with us. We're going to discuss what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on in Gaza. Oh, and Schumer went on The View. No, I thought that was old. That happened? Schumer went on The View. He is such a weak little child. He's afraid to do his book tour because the left is so angry with him. He felt he was going to be attacked, so he canceled his book tour. And now he's going to The View to explain himself. Check that out. Oh, I got to trim that's getting a little out there, right? Right? Yeah. I gotta bring that in. I did not shave. Look at me. I'm a mess. What is going on, Katz? No haircut, no shave. This is nothing like you. Good gosh, I gotta get that done. Today's the day. Tomorrow, shaved beard, bald head. That's not happening. Oh, good. Yeah, you didn't know me, producer Landon, when I just had the goatee. There are some pictures of me out there like that. I just had the goat, right? I am an outrageous baby face without the beard. Like really, really, really bad. Like super bad. So, what if I can get a haircut today? Let's see if I can schedule an appointment right now. What's today? Make an appointment. We're doing this, guys. See, this is the important stuff here. No, I'm not a sports clips guy. What? Sports clips. Come now. Don't be silly. The auto pen plot continues. And I must tell you that I think the New York Post is very, very wrong. They wrote an editorial where they stated that President Trump should not be thinking of stating that Joe Biden's pardons are unacceptable because possibly an auto pen was used. Tony Katz today. The question is, signing pardons, signing legislation, did then President Biden actually sign them? Or was he even in the room? Was he even in the state? Was he in the district? Was he anywhere near? And if they were signed by auto pen, by basically machine, then are they legit? Is this something actual, real? The story over at Town Hall, Sarah Arnold reporting, is that it's possible that Neera Tanden may have used the auto pen to sign the pardons while Biden was golfing in St. Croix in December of 2022. 6 individuals received pardons during Biden's vacation. So one has to question whether or not Biden was present or fully aware that the pardons were being signed. Now, Neera Tanden is a progressive. And wasn't she she was up for a position and she was so left that Biden had to pull her nomination, and then she just became an advisor to the president, because being a progressive is not disqualifying. It just means sometimes we have to put you in a different spot. She was the president of the Center for American Progress. And so now we have the question of whether or not these pardons are legit. I'm telling you right now that if people want to think that it doesn't matter, that it's some kind of witch hunt, they're wrong. I will agree that I do not know if the president can unilaterally state that a pardon doesn't have any effect. I do not know. I don't know. I don't know where I would even begin the argument. But I think it is very acceptable to argue that a pardon is not legitimate if the president did not sign it. And I mean actually sign it. Not an auto pen, not a technology. I'm talking about this. Sign away. So I think the story does matter, and I think we should focus on it. Meanwhile, what will happen with Ukraine? Major Mike Lyons up next. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz, good to be with you. Tony Katz today, it's the name of the show. That right there is the Munchener. That is Vladimir von Riest. This is a Swiss mechanical movement right here. And you can head over to vonriest.com, use promo code CATS. Thrilled to be their brand ambassador. Love this Indiana story. Love the work that they do. Built right here in Indiana. I have a lovely collection. Let me say it again. Collection. It is indeed lovely. Look at that. It's Major Mike Lyons. There he is. Check him out. A retired United States Army West Point graduate. Now we're live streaming right now. People can see you. So try not to do anything obscene, sir.
Got it, Tony. I got the memo on the black shirts, so I'm all squared away on that.
Right, yeah, it's good. Except mine doesn't say West Point.
Yeah, okay. I gotta get you some. I gotta get you some West Point laundry. It's on the way.
Yeah, if you would, a size small, please.
Okay,
thank you.
Sounds good.
And I'm like, there's a very black and white, gray, of course, monochromatic thing that we do here, and people are like, it's a very cool background because it's very clean, right? Very simple. But I think when I wear the black shirt, like I'm just like, it's a whole Johnny Cash thing, and I don't think I can pull it off.
You're doing okay. I think you're doing fine with it. Yeah, just the man in black. I think you look perfect.
You're a good man. I want to discuss Ukraine and Russia. Do we want to get into anything else?
No, both are good. Both are ticking time bombs, frankly. We have to see, where both go at this point.
All right. I'm going to bring you back in just a second. Stay right there. That's Major Mike Lyons, retired United States Army West Point graduate. Good man. Good man. Looking forward to the conversation with him. As President Trump speaks with Vladimir Putin and a discussion of a peace deal, the question, of course, becomes, what is it that Vladimir Putin wants for peace? Well, the answer is going to be, of course, land. There's no way it's not a conversation about land. But I think maybe the follow-up question here is whether or not a peace can hold. And I have made my declaration on that. My answer is no. Long-term, lifetime, no. Let's not be silly. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Major Mike Lyons joins us right now. Retired United States Army West Point graduate, works with West Point to this day. He's on the live stream wearing the West Point gear. It turns out not a uniform, just a West Point shirt that he has promised to send me. I do want to get into the Russia-Ukraine conversation, the phone call between Trump and Putin, what a peace deal might look like, whether we think it's an actual peace deal or just a temporary halt for a couple years until Putin goes back at it. But I'd be remiss if I didn't start with the assault on the Houthi rebels in Yemen. The Houthi rebels, supported by Iran, they've been engaged in attacking of ships, U.S. and others in the Red Sea, in the Gulf of Aden, in the Suez Canal, changing shipping lanes. And we have had in the Biden administration what could be argued as a tepid response to them. Talk to me about what you see from this response from President Trump, whether you think it's too big, too small, anything in between, and what its goal is.
Well, Tony, the previous administration's response to everything was don't. This response now is it's about time. And I like what I've seen so far. I like the fact that we're going after their strategic weapons as they have capability, tremendous capability, in fact, to attack our U.S. warships that sit in the Red Sea as well as the Mediterranean. Attacking Israel would be great if the Israelis decide to help us as well. It's long overdue, and we can target them. However, this campaign could go on for months as they have tremendous capability. The Iranians have armed them to the teeth. They're, in third place behind Hamas and Hezbollah when it comes to terrorist proxies that the Iranians have. And so I think it's going to take some time before the United States declares victory here. And for one thing about this administration, as we get to know them, is they're not stopping until we get victory. And that means somebody on the other side says we surrender. So you're going to see a continuous barrage going after their drone capability, missile capability, and other military capability.
I think we discussed this the other day on the show. You weren't here, but you bring it up, and it's a solid point that the Houthi rebels are not these cave dwellers. They have an unbelievably sophisticated arsenal that has been given to them by Iran. I think the question people have is exactly what do we mean by sophisticated?
Yeah, Shahed drones, missiles, cruise missiles that can travel great distances. I mean, this is not a country that can produce them. They've clearly outsourced that to the Iranians. They've long threatened Saudi Arabia, our ally there within the Middle East, as they've been fighting the civil war in Yemen now for years and years. And they were used as that proxy to fight against Saudi Arabia. You have the Shia-Sunni divide that exists between those two countries there, as Saudi Arabia would like to be the hegemonic, the largest power within the Middle East, them coexisting with Israel. So the buildup's taken place over the course of the years, and you take Shahed drones and cruise missiles and the like, they could potentially hit something. U.S. Navy assets there have tremendous capability in order to protect and defend themselves, but there's just nothing like going on the offense, and they can't hide. There's as soon as every missile they fire has a return address, and as in the past now, where we just kind of let that go. Right now, for every one that's being fired, I'm sure we're firing 3 or 4 right back at it.
Talking to Major Mike Lyons, retired United States Army. The purpose here, and we should be clear that the Houthi rebels and Saudi Arabia, the Houthis being a proxy for Iran, have been engaged in the civil war in Yemen, destruction of Yemen. And you are correct in this conversation of who is the hegemonic power. Saudi Arabia wants it, Iran wants it, and Turkey is just waiting in the wings, as they always do, to see where their opportunity is. The end result of this bombing raid is it possible? You talk about you wanting the Israelis to get in. Would this mean an end to the civil war in Yemen? Is that possible?
That's the next logical step. That's possible that happens. Whether it's the Houthis that still remain in control of a very important piece of geography that exists in the world, as tremendous amount of ships go through the Red Sea there and in and out of the Suez Canal, and Navy warships and the like. So that is possible that you could see overthrow of that government. However, Yemen is one of the poorest countries in the world, remains that way. Tremendous famine, tremendous poverty exists there amongst the people. So the Houthis they've been like Hamas. They've not been anybody that's cared about the citizens and civilians there. So this is going to be a phase 5 operation. If that ends up happening, it would be in everybody's interest to go back inside of Yemen and try to help with the rebuild there. It won't be, maybe similar to something that could happen inside of Gaza that you're seeing there. But it's going to have to be a phase 5, which means reconstruction of that country.
Let me move you out and to just a little more north. Israel in this bombing of Gaza. Some people saying, well, I guess they don't think they're getting any hostages back because this is going to be the end of the end. It has been a significant bombing attack by Israel, as reported. Why do you think they made the move now?
I think that always they knew in the back of their minds that they were never going to get the peace settlement that they wanted. They now get to the point where they don't think any more hostages are alive and come back. And they've got to do what they can to get rid of the last vestiges of Hamas militants that are there. However, it's likely going to mean the Israeli army going back in. I know they withdrew in certain areas there. It's going to likely mean rooting them out. It's going to mean destruction of the tunnel. So I don't think we're at the beginning of the end. Maybe not even at the end of the end. There's going to have to be a significant military operation still on the ground, what we call a mountain within urban areas, in order to root out any last vestiges there, and still a better solution than the United States taking over it. Other countries will have to get involved, the Jordanians, the Egyptians, in order to make this not look like this genocide that some people in the media would like you think it is. This is a real problem that still exists from Israel's security, and they're not going back.
We can be clear: there is no genocide going on in terms of Israel perpetrating one. This simply is a lie on lie on lies told by the UN and others.
Yeah, and so I think the Trump administration would like to try to solve this. A lot of balls in the air now for them right now, but I think I think that they're turning this over to Israel for right now. And then when Israel says we're done, I think that's when you'll see more engagement from the United States. We still provide them all the rockets they need, all the missiles, the munitions, the intel. But this is clearly an Israeli fight for right now until such time that it's a situation where the United States can then back and re-engage.
As we know it, the call took place between Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. This, of course, about Ukraine. Ukraine now gets military assistance from us again after a slight pause after the Oval Office dust-up. They now get intelligence sharing. The conversation, of course, is about whether or not Russia accepts a ceasefire deal. That leads to, what does a ceasefire deal mean to them? What do they get out of it, which could be land? And then most importantly, why would anybody trust Vladimir Putin long term? If you're on that first phone call, what is it that you're hoping Donald Trump is able to hear from Vladimir Putin?
Well, the best that he could hear from Vladimir Putin is that the Russian military stopped advancing. I mean, they have been onslaught the past couple of weeks, and since the president got involved, said he wants to help solve this. In particular, I think he's been the Russian military is really going after it. You saw Ukraine military withdraw from Kursk. That's that area that they had secured. And I think that the Ukrainians have kind of backed off, and they've just gotten to the active defense in some ways, but that hasn't stopped the Russians. So from the president's perspective, he wants the Russians to stop. Now, that might not still be good enough for Vladimir Putin, or Vladimir Putin might tell the president that he's stopping, but he really is not stopping. Because that's really why they went to war in the first place. People use war the countries use war to accomplish these objectives that they can't get at the negotiation table. And if they think they could still accomplish them with combat, they're going to do that. And I'm not sure that Russia is at that spot yet, so I'm not sure they're going to stop.
Okay, now allow me to be a guy who throws a thought out, if not a flat out disagreement. You tell me. Russia has more bodies they can throw at this at Ukraine. Mm-hmm. And if Russia has been decimated, but Ukraine has been tertiated, that's a third of your army versus a tenth of your army. Russia can outlast Ukraine. But Russia's not having any fun. They are losing people. All politics are local. Eventually, he starts looking into Moscow and St. Petersburg for bodies to throw at this thing, and it becomes a problem for him. He wants out of this. Is that wrong?
Yeah, not sure if that's the case, only because within Russian DNA is this this imperialistic and this mentality of defending the motherland. And you still have a lot of folks that live in that area within Ukraine that are Russian speaking that has been virtually destroyed now at this point. So the spoils of war would go to Russia in some level, but they still haven't captured a lot of the landmass that they want or need from an economic perspective. They could take claim over Crimea and the coastline within the Black Sea, I guess, as some type of victory. But I just don't know. It would tell me that Russia still has more capability than Ukraine, who is hanging on by a very thin thread. They still haven't they haven't recruited where they need to in the younger generation. Many people have left the country. What would tip the balance is if the United States said to Russia, look, we're going to go all in on Ukraine. We're going to send every single piece of equipment we can possibly send. And we're going to do what we can. And if that's the case, then Russia might look at that as escalation. The previous administration didn't even want to go there. They might look at this as an escalation and start, deciding that they're going to do more. But Russia right now is in no position to threaten any other NATO country, given what Ukraine has done. Ukraine has done us a big favor. They've destroyed a great portion of the Russian military.
People forget that. People forget that matters. That's another subject for another day. Major Mike Lyons, retired United States Army West Point graduate, a West Point guy to this day. Stay right there, Major Lyons. I appreciate you being with us. Much more is coming up. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. This is Tony Katz Today. Major, we just left the radio show. Just as a quick piece before I let you go live your life. I have taken heat from people on the political right, my people, because I believe you send Ukraine bullets and you send Ukraine guns, and we're better off doing that. First, you don't allow Russia to just take over your country and then sit on the border of Poland, a NATO nation. But secondly, anything you could do to disrupt Russia is good for us in the long run. Am I right?
No, it's proxy war that you have to have a strategy for. So we have to rearm ourselves in order to do this. We just can't be taking these stockpiles out of our, our pumpkin stocks and the like. But no, I don't think you're off base at all. And I think if we can, if Ukraine wants to continue this fight now, again, this president wants to end it just because he wants to end the killing. So I understand that from his perspective. But if Ukraine wants to keep going, we should just give him the last administration did not allow him to the Zelensky to take the gloves off. If we give him all this equipment, give him the missiles, let him attack inside of Russia, let him do what he wants to do, then perhaps that would change. They were just so afraid of escalation with Russia.
Yes, but if Trump does that, and I don't know if Trump is want to do that, he'll have an entire base of people saying, you said you're going to end the war. Right. You said no more forever wars, and here we are. That's a hard one for him after all this time to spin on a dime on.
Yeah, he was always handed a very bad deal. You talk about cards. He was handed a bad deck as well, given what it was turned over to him and given what the situation is on the ground here. So I see Trump giving in to Putin from the perspective of the land, if he can keep it, and try to get a peace settlement for at least a short term. So in some ways, Donald Trump is going to do what previous politicians have done, is try to get a settlement for today, kick the can down the road, but it's likely never going to be over. Then the race is on for Ukraine then to rearm itself. Like most of the European nations are figuring out, right? If you want to have a country, you have to have an industry. If you want to have industry, you have to be able to defend it. To be able to defend it means you have a country. I mean, Europe's just finally figuring that out. These separate countries are finally figuring it out. Well, that's the same with Ukraine. Before this all started, Ukraine was a very corrupt country. It was always had Russian DNA in it from the end of the Cold War. It tried to stand itself up, but it's going to have to do a lot more than once you get them to stop fighting. Maybe they can attract some of their young people back as well.
That's Major Mike Lyons, retired United States Army. MAJ Mike, is it Mike Mikeelyons or Mike Lyo?
Mikeelyons, Mike Lyons, Major Mike Lyons, MAJ Mike Lyons.
I was making sure. I mean, I find you on Twitter. I never forget.
You're in my alerts. I got you all the time, Tony. We're good.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Perfect.
Go live your life. Good to see you. Major Mike Lyons, retired United States Army. Appreciate the update. Yeah, that phone call is done between Putin and Trump. I'm assuming we'll get updates on that. I have got I've got Chuck Schumer being super sad, super pathetic. I have got There we go. Sorry, just making sure I've got everything together. One minute till we're back to the radio show. Very, very, very good. All right. I'm going to hit that subject. There it is. All right. Sorry. Just had to do a little bit of work. Glad you're here. Any plans for Derby? Great question. Usually during Derby, there's an event here in Indianapolis called Rev at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which is the best food party event, I think, in Indianapolis. And so I don't usually go to the Derby. That said, maybe I should change my mind. There was a story about Joe Pags. I don't know if you know Joe Pags or not. Radio host out of Texas, nationally syndicated, good dude. Been doing this a long time. Pagliarulo, Joe Pagliarulo, Tony Katz today. He got swatted. And I saw somebody else, I think it was Juanita Broderick, saying that she got swatted. You might not know what swatting is. Tony Katz today. That's where somebody calls the police and says, my gosh, something absolutely horrible is happening at this address. What's your address? And so police show up. They're told that someone's been attacked, someone's been hurt, someone's been killed, this, that. And they show up and they're armed and ready to go. It's a very dangerous situation. It's referred to as swatting. And Joe is being swatted. Had the presence of mind to call the police and say, there's somebody outside my house with what looks like an AR dressed as a cop. Are you at my house? Because there's nothing going on. I'm fine. I think I'm being swatted. Turns out it was the police. What the people who do these things want you to do is then engage violently with the police, and then in the hopes that you'll get killed. This is what they want. I don't think I am a big enough radio host to have that happen to me. That said, locally, we're a pretty good size. I don't want to brag and I don't want to lie. In Indiana, we do well. We do. There is no bigger media presence or media person in the state than me, with all the radio that we cover. And so last night, although we've always had plans for things, last night I'm writing up with my wife. Okay, here's what we do. Starting to sketch this out. We'll hopefully have that finished up today. If X, then Y. And here's who you call, and here's what you say, and here's what you do. And do not panic, and do not grab for this, and take a breath. We need to determine a little bit of what's happening before we make decisions and before we make moves. And if A, then this. If B, then this. Can you imagine you have to do that? Now, some people who are in the world of prepping are like, you plan for every eventuality. Don't you have an exit plan? Yes. I've got plans for things. But this one doesn't just involve me. It isn't the basic. It's far from it, because all sorts of adrenalines can be at a high for not only us, but for those officers out there who've just been lied to and fed a story, and they're thinking in a certain way and they're planning in a certain way, and they've got a training, and the muscle memory takes over and all that. I'm glad that Joe is okay. Dangerous, maddening world. And I get that it happens to people who are in the public eye. You understand this is going to happen to you one day. Someone's not going to like something you posted on social media. This is going to happen to you. And that's why I bring it up. The stuff is not isolated. This stuff will trickle and spread and flow, and you should be ready for it too. I'm Tony Katz. Guys, the radio show is in break, so we will be in break. That's what's going on. So smoke them if you got them, and we'll be back soon enough. I am glad you guys are here, and don't forget your watch deal is at vonreist.com. vonreist.com right there. Use promo code CATS and you can get your watch. That is the Munchner. It comes in a bunch of different colors. We went a little Indiana. We went with the Purdue colors of the black and gold. Really, it's a charcoal gray and yellow, but it's close enough. And got that. There are a bunch of colors. This is a Swiss movement mechanical watch here, so a little bit different. Very simple, very easy, very comfortable on the wrist, and you gotta appreciate the clasp. You gotta appreciate that. Class right there. That is available at vonreist.com. Use promo code Katz and get yourself something cool for your wrist and graduation gift and all that jazz. Guys, we'll be back momentarily. Keep it right here, if you would. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. I did not shave in the interim. That did not happen, but that is happening because look at that right there. Look at this little. Oh, it's wild. Yeah, I don't know. The black shirt looks good. I mean, it does. A little something right there. What's that? What is that? Whatever that was, it's gone now. Now I got stuff over here. You know what? The black shirt was a terrible idea. Yes. I mean, it's not as bad as a brown shirt. Wow. That is dark, Tony. That was very, very dark. Do we have some interest rate stuff going on? Wait a second. Do we have a decision on rates coming? Ooh, could be a busy day. Anyway, we're going to get back to the show soon. My name is Tony Katz. I will be your host. A lot of talk on the in the chat there over there at YouTube about watches. Yes, I work with Vladimir von Riest, but I do have a watch collection, and that does not stop. Somebody discussing how they're taking a look at Swatch. And Swatch, if you were a Gen Xer and a child of the 80s, people had Swatches everywhere. They made like necklaces out of Swatch watches. They just put them all together into colorful things. Swatch does an absolutely fantastic collaboration with Omega on the Mission to the Moon series, I think they call it. Terrific. I own two and didn't try them on first, and they're too small for my wrist. So my kids now have these watches. I'm that parent. I am ashamed of myself. I leave it there. Please. They're very, very cool. They're very, very cool. What they've done in this collaboration. Vladimir von Riest is who I work with. Von Riest, Rieste, vonriest.com. Use promo code CATS and get your discount. And you got to come see me in Kokomo, Indiana. I'll discuss that coming up. Right now, let's get back to the show. We're going to keep our eyes on the markets, see if there is any information that's going to be coming out on rates or anything else. But that isn't the story I was going to start with. Chuck Schumer has taken to The View.
You're gonna be popular.
That's once is enough. We don't need that on a loop, people. Not at all. Tony Katz, did I say hello? I forget. He wants to be popular, this Chuck Schumer, but he's having a hard time with it. And he's having a hard time with it because he was going to stand up and not vote for the continuing resolution. He was going to fight the continuing resolution, and then he voted for it. He voted for the continuing resolution, and the Democrats are angry. Now, this is more of the conversation about how the Democratic Party is broken. And specifically that the Democratic Party has no leadership. Now, I want it understood that we said it first. We said that the Democratic Party had no wartime consigliere. They had no one to lead them into battle. They don't even know how to fight. They don't understand the weapons. They don't understand the battlefield. They understand nothing. Sun Tzu looks at the Democratic Party and says, I can't help you people. There is nothing that they can do right now. They have been beat in every single way. And they're leaderless. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries cannot lead at this time. They don't have the capacity. They don't have the strength. They don't have the know-how. They don't have the knowledge. Hakeem Jeffries, who claims that Republicans are on the run on the economy, is the one on the run. Being asked by the media, why are you afraid to answer questions about Chuck Schumer and whether or not he's doing a good job? This was Hakeem Jeffries.
No. Do not characterize.
No, my question was, why are you afraid to say this?
Do not characterize my remarks. I'm not afraid about anything.
But you went to another question twice. When asked
Isn't it
about
a yes or no
Is there a
question?
problem?
I said I was very clear that we look forward to working with every single one of our Senate Democratic colleagues. Every single one of them.
That is pretty emphatic, and that you're being right there. Audio from the Daily Caller News Foundation. But when you have to say I'm not afraid of anything, it means that you already showed that you're afraid of something. I am afraid of squirrels. They freak me out. I don't know what you want from me. They freak me out. I used to be afraid of the dark. I got past in my 30s. But now it's just squirrels. That's it. That is it. To say I'm not afraid of anything. Okay, tough guy. You're afraid of losing power. Right now, someone is eyeing Nancy Pelosi, half a backbencher in today's world, and saying, hey, you want one more run at this? Because this guy, he can't so much do the job. Equally, it is true for Chuck Schumer, who has been vilified by his party. They hate him for voting for the continuing resolution. Hate. True hate. This was CBS this morning. Gayle King speaking to Chuck Schumer.
In your own party, they're saying, look, it's time for you to go. They no longer trust your leadership. They want somebody else in there. What do you say about that?
Here's what I say.
In your own party saying
Yes.
you've got to go.
Here's what I'm saying. I'm the best leader for the Senate. We have a lot of leaders. You know, when you don't have a president, there's not one leader of the party. There are lots of them. We have a lot of good people. But I am the best at keep winning Senate seats. I've done it in 2005. Just in 2020, no one thought we'd take back the Senate. Under my leadership, we took it. So we now are executing.
You're not going anywhere.
We have a great, we're moving forward. Hakeem and I have a plan. Let me just say this. There's a real contrast between the parties. The Republican Party now, particularly in office, is the party of rich oligarchs who want to really screw every average American so they can get tax cuts for the rich. And we are fighting that every day. So today, we just issued a.
I think it's weird when you're saying that to somebody whose best friend is a rich oligarch. Oprah Gale. I believe the line is, "Methink thou doth protest too much," and that comes into mind here. This is not sounding good for Chuck. I'm the best. I'm a winner. Senate's in the minority right now, correct? You went back to 2020. You went 5 years ago. What have you done for me lately? I believe is the expression that we should be looking at. But really, to make his case, he went to The View. And we should be clear that he went to The View because he was planning to do a book tour. Chuck Schumer was going to be doing a book tour. He wrote a book about anti-Semitism. I believe it is. And sure, go right ahead. Write your book and go sell your book. It's totally fine. The concern is his base is going to come out and scream at him and yell at him for voting for the continuing resolution. He made the argument that I had to vote for the continuing resolution because it would do more harm than good to not do so. And we're going to have to fight another day. And progressives are like, how dare you? Because progressives understand that the ideology comes first. Backing down from the ideology is never acceptable, and they're willing to shut it down. Remember when they told you that government shutdowns were dangerous and Republicans were playing this dangerous game? The progressive doesn't care about the shutdown at all. And I want to go on record saying this is the way. If Republicans are in charge, here's the budget, here's the spending bill. You don't have to vote for it. You want to shut it down? Go ahead, shut it down. That's your problem. We're done utilizing this as some kind of weird bargaining chip. You do you, boo. You want to shut it down, knock yourself out. But stop getting worked up by this and stop telling me all the people who aren't going to get paid. I know people aren't going to get paid. It always stinks when they don't get paid. Oh, well, you'd say that about military members? I dare you to say that to a military member. What street corner do you want to meet on? I can't help on certain things, and I can't say vote for certain things if they're not worth voting for, and I can't force those people to vote for certain things. So if it shuts down, it shuts down. Since nobody screams and yells if radio stations get shut down, forgive me, I can't do it. And most importantly, even if I wanted to, even I didn't want the shutdown because I'm not really interested in them, I don't think they provide you any value. If the progressives decide to shut it down, they decide to shut it down. If the progressives decide to lose their mind, they decide to lose their mind. This is who they are. I can't change who they are. And neither could Chuck Schumer. These people must feed. You, Chuck Schumer, you, Nancy Pelosi, you, Hakeem Jeffries, you built this progressive monster, this progressive parasite that does everything to glom onto the host and suck all the nutrients dry. And eventually, the parasite will attack the host body. You built these progressives. You cheered these progressives. You told these progressives that Kavanaugh and Gorsuch were so terrible that they wouldn't know what hit them. They would reap the whirlwind. You said of Donald Trump that the intelligence community had 6 ways from Sunday for getting back at you. You empowered these people, Chuck Schumer. You built them. You made them in your image. You fashioned them like a golem. And now you're going to be upset that they're angry? Dear Lord, Frankenstein, look at your creation. You built the monster. I don't want to hear you complain. But he may have some problems on his book tour, so he can't go on the book tour. So he goes to The View. Or as we call it, a safe space. And on The View, he is, he's sad.
And you know what their attitude is? I made my money all by myself. How dare your government take my money from me? I don't want to pay taxes. Or I built my company with my bare hands. How dare your government tell me how I should treat my customers, my the land and water that I own, or my employees. They hate government. Government's a barrier to people, a barrier to stop them from doing things. They want to destroy it. We are not letting them do it, and we're united.
Okay.
Good.
What? What the hell is that? In the live stream, Don noted you didn't build that all over again. Correct. That is the correct answer. The Democratic Party's plan is to say our problem is Republicans think they should be able to keep their money and government shouldn't get the tax money to spend the way the government wants. This was why we had an election, and this is why, one of the reasons, we voted for Trump. Same old, boring, nonsensical, ridiculous arguments. As for that continuing resolution,
I'm just going to throw it out there. Why?
Great.
What were you thinking and why?
Okay. So look, I knew it was a difficult choice, and I knew that I'd get a lot of criticism for my choice. But I felt as a leader I had to do it. Here's why. The CR bill was bad, no question. And it allowed a slush fund, which allowed money to be pushed around.
Explain it for the people who don't know what
There's
CR means.
CR means continue the government spending.
Right.
A shutdown, the alternative is cut off the government spending. And here's what would happen if we cut off government spending. It would be devastation like we have never seen.
Worse than we're seeing now?
Much. Here's why. That's why I did it. I wasn't going to take this flack just for having a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. The bottom line is a government shutdown works like this. All government spending is stopped, all. And then the executive branch, Trump, Musk, Doge, and this really evil man people don't know about, Vote, who's head of OMB, his name is Vote.
What's OMB? What is OMB then?
OMB is the Office of Management Budget, which determines the spending. And they could cut off anything they want simply by saying it's not essential. So, day 2, SNAP, food for poor kids, not essential. Day 4, mass transit, New York City subway and subways all over, not essential. Day 7, Medicaid, not essential. People don't need Medicaid. They should get their own health care. And this would happen over and over and over again. And there's no check. The biggest problem is that it has been determined that the courts have no say. Yeah. And the only say is the executive branch. Now, in the old days, when there was a shutdown, they'd work it out. But this is a different, horrible kettle of fish.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, these people are boring. I had to vote for the continuing resolution because otherwise Donald Trump would be able to do his job as president. He would be able to decide what got funding and what didn't. And when Trump does it, it's an evil. When Biden does it, it's called being president. This is his argument. I had to do it. Otherwise, Trump would have too much power. I had to keep the spending going, keep government open. Otherwise, I'd be giving Trump exactly what he wanted. That's a spin, boo. That is a spin.
They hate the government. They want to shut down everything. You heard what Musk said.
It's not that they want to shut down everything. It's that there's a lot of stuff that should be shut down. In trying to defend himself here and ingratiate himself to his audience once again, he is really playing the greatest hits of the progressives, that they should have complete control and you should have no say. And then it got to this.
You mentioned, this is what a leader does. And we were just talking in our last segment about we aren't seeing a clear leader of the party, because even though I agree with you with your decision and I see why, but you were only able to get 9 Democrats to go with you. How is that leadership?
Right.
Okay. Look, the bottom line is there were a whole lot of Democrats who were torn, and they on the one hand, people were clamoring, do something now, do something now. Now, do we have to act and do we have to fight these Republicans, this right-wing group,
the MAGA,
not all Republicans, every step of the way? But do it in the smartest way possible. If you're fighting them and then you end up in this shutdown, let me tell you something. If we ended up a shutdown 3 weeks from now, people would come to me and they'd say, they just cut off my Medicaid. They just got rid of my veterans benefits. Stop it. And I say, we can't, we're in a shutdown. And then they'd say to me, why did you let the shutdown happen?
Yeah.
So a lot of people responded to the anguish. I appreciate it. I wake up 3 a.m. sometimes, so worried about the future of the country under these oligarchs or whatever, oligarchs.
I think he was going for kleptocrats, but it's nothing to the concern that Americans had for 4 years under Joe Biden. This is one heck of a push to try and get back any level of support. The Democrats don't have leaders. And Chuck Schumer's proven it once again, because I don't think this is going to be taken as well as maybe rational people might take it. Not by that party. This is Tony Katz today. We only need to do it once. We don't need to do it twice. Good to be with you. Tony Katz today. That is the name of the show. See, Don, you went too far. You cannot out Harry Reid. Just cannot be done. That guy was the lowest of the low. Lowest of the low. Dear Lord. Very few people is terrible. Very few indeed. And then you've got this about Trump. I will bring you that story. And then I've got that. And thank you, producer Landon. Got to write myself a note. Yeah, so I didn't light up a cigar for the show because I knew I was going to be out later. A couple of meetings, and I knew it was going to happen then. So I just, decided I knew what was coming. I would hold off just a wee bit. Just a wee bit. There we go. Here we come back to the radio show. And we have more Teslas set on fire there, Landon. Oh, look at that. Let me see if I can confirm that. Las Vegas, Nevada. And the story is, there it is. A series of Teslas were set on fire at a Tesla service center in Las Vegas. The violence of the left knows no bounds. And I had another story about that. If you get the show sheet over at TonyKatz.com, I think I had it yesterday. Here it is. No, it was today. It's the left. This person at an event saying, if this guy isn't removed, meaning with Trump, there will be violence. There's a whole story of two people being thrown out of a bar in Indianapolis, and the bar is like, well, they came in wearing MAGA hats and they were very disrespectful to the bartender and they misgendered her. The bartender, who is a man, holding a bat, saying, get out of my bar, and specifically said, because you're Trump supporters, wearing a Trump hat. They choose violence. All right, I will have the update on these Teslas. I will have that audio for you. J.D. Vance was speaking earlier, and Fonnie Willis with the $54,000 fine. To start, this is Tony Katz Today. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. All right. So let me put some things together. And why is my kid talking about things I'm saying on the live stream? Shouldn't you be at school? I'll deal with that later. That's a true story, by the way. That's a very true story. That just happened. All right. Let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of that. And let me get rid of that. And let me get rid of that. And that can stay. There we go. Why is that not playing? There's no understanding that sometimes. All right, so that was this. And if I were to add this right here, you'd be able to see this story. We don't have the video. There it is. I mean, that's the fire. There it is. So we will get to that. I promise. And then I have Vance speaking, and I will have that as well. I already shared that. Oh, and then you have Trump demanding impeachment of the judge, and you have an admonishment from the Supreme Court. Oh yeah, it's been a day. It has been a day, and some people are like, so Tony, what made you think of doing this event, Trump and American Reset, in 3 bourbons? I look back at the first 100 days, and I said, well, because these first 100 days are going to be unbelievable, and people are going to forget all the stuff that happened. So much stuff has happened. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Trump and American Reset in 3 bourbons. Guys, come on out. It's going to be fantastic. If you live in Indiana, it's Kokomo, Indiana, an easy drive up 31. I promise you. Well worth it. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. You are going to have such great bourbon. You are going to laugh your fool head off. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, I forgot that. I can't believe that. You're going to have a ball. Going to be spectacular. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. I hope to see you there. Trump and American Reset in 3 bourbons. Let's get back to the radio show. So there it is. Tesla's on fire, one after another, exploding. Actually exploding. Elon Musk is so terrible, we have to set fire to somebody else's property. The left is violent. The left is violent. What do you want from me? It's not my fault for noting. It's not my fault that they say these things. Hey, finger on the dump button there, producer Landon. Why not? I think I've got this right. Although if you're watching the live stream, the signs certainly have some bad language to it. That much is true.
Get this man out of here now. But if that doesn't happen, and we're not promoting it for 1 second, but if that doesn't happen, there will be violence. Yes. And these people had the opportunity to stop it.
You got to admit, she's super sweet. If there's violence, it's your fault. You could have stopped it, and you didn't. You can't not expect violence, right? Tony Katz today. And always a pleasure, guys. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. Love you, appreciate you. And don't forget, we are reviewing the first 100 days of Donald Trump, April 17th, Kokomo, Indiana. Trump and American Reset in 3 bourbons. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. I want to see you there. It's going to be an absolutely incredible event. The bourbon, the cigars, the food, the laughs. It's going to be so good. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Trump and American Reset in 3 bourbons, and look back at the first 100 days, how it compares to the other first 100 days in history. It's going to be, and of course, the media's insane reaction. It's going to be fantastic. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. The left is proud of the violence. The left is overjoyed by the violence. The left will not stop the violence. There is no plan at all to stop this from happening. You burn down. Oh, no, you just stop it. You burn down other people's property. Destroy other people's property because you don't like somebody's politics. You don't know what the politics are of the people who drove those Teslas. These are domestic terrorists. There isn't enough jail time for them. Now, if they're American citizens, sadly, they can't be deported because I think they'd look just fantastic in an El Salvadorian jail, and they'll look great in those white boxer shorts. This stuff is ugly. It was ugly when you thought it was okay to destroy property because of George Floyd, and you could burn cities to the ground, and you could take over areas with your Chaz chops and kill people. It was obscene. Oh, you want to bring up January 6th? How about when you were setting things on fire when Trump got inaugurated the first time? It was obscene. Now you're going to destroy someone's Tesla. You're going to key their Tesla. There's some guy he must be in his 70s. He keyed someone's Tesla. You know, you take your key and you scratch the paint. And he was wearing a very distinctive jacket. And they found him. They tracked him down. They found him. And now that guy's going to get arrested. You're destroying property. Of course you're going to get arrested. Do you think that your emotional breakdown keeps you out of jail? Wait a second. Maybe they do. Hold on. Hey, political left. A question. Do you think that your emotional state keeps you out of jail? I get it. I get that you are highly emotional. I get that you have a hard time with your emotions. I get that you are unable to control them. I understand. I see you, boo-boo. And it is so difficult what you go through day in and day out. Man, I can't believe that you have to do it. But now that I'm done kind of pretend mocking you, allow me to take a moment to truly mock you the way you most richly deserve. And if you follow my Twitter feed, my Twitter X feed, oh, there's a fair amount of trolls out there. Listen, progressives, you must realize that emotionally you're unstable, broken, lost. It's one thing not to like Donald Trump. I'm not going to tell you have to like him. It's one thing to hate Donald Trump, and I'm not saying that you can't. You do you, boo-boo. But you think it's okay to destroy somebody else's property because of your dislike for Trump, and now Elon Musk, because he dare allow for free speech on his platform and think that maybe we shouldn't have so much spending? So you destroy somebody else's property? Yeah. No one cares about your emotions. No one cares about how you feel. You know, there's the expression, facts don't care about your feelings, Ben Shapiro. No one cares about how you feel. No one cares that it makes you unhappy, that it gives you the sads. You know what we care about? That you get thrown in jail for destroying the property of others. We care that you have decided so to give up being a rational citizen, an American citizen. We care that you spend time alone in a cell, or maybe with a roommate, to think about what it is you've done. But what we really care about is you not being near the rest of us because you're dangerous. Get this man out of the White House, or bad things are going to happen, or violence is going to happen. We don't accept that threat in the United States. We have elections, and that guy was elected, and you lost. I understand that that's painful for you. Losing is painful, but it happened. You lost because you had a terrible candidate, and then you replaced that terrible candidate for another terrible candidate, and then you had no message except for some weird cackle laugh that you thought was going to be enough. I mean, in all honesty, can we just be clear? You thought that this laugh was going to be okay? You deserve to lose the election. But enough about emotional state. Throw these people in jail and let them cry. And always remember that your job is to protect yourself and the ones that you love. These people are more and more unhinged. They're proud to be unhinged. They're proud to be violent. They talk about fascism, about the political right. The truth is, it's what they aspire to be, and now clearly what they are. Authoritarians, violent, believers in intimidation to get what they want. And the answer is, nah. Nah, in the world where you think that you get to fight us, you lose. You might win a battle here or a battle there, but you don't win this war. You know that. You're aware of that. You think you should be able to do anything. You think you can act out, nothing bad will happen to you. And this is why terrible things have to happen. These people need to be found, prosecuted, and jailed. They have to see it. They have to see what happens when you act this way, destroying somebody else's car because you don't like Elon Musk. Get a hold of yourself. Oh, and to anybody who's dating someone like that, immediately leave. You don't marry those people, and whatever you do, you don't make babies with those people. Don't do that to a future generation. Meanwhile, President Trump wants the judge impeached. This judge, like many crooked judges I am forced to appear before, should be impeached. We don't want vicious, violent, and demented criminals, many of them deranged murderers, in our country. That was a Truth Social post about Judge James Boasberg, the guy who said to Trump, you can't be deporting all of these Venezuelan gang members. No. You turn that plane right around and bring them back. Yeah, well, that wasn't happening. And now you have progressives out there on the side of these terrorists. It's
their politics.
And Judge Gertner, I mean, if the president says the pardons are null and void and the Justice Department, the FBI work for him, what's to stop them from launching investigations into the January 6th committee members? I mean, would courts in some way step in on that?
Nothing to. Well, I mean, what one would have to do in this situation is what one is doing with respect to the deportation orders, the various executive orders, is they will have to be challenged in court. He would start an investigation. There would be a challenge to the investigation saying we were pardoned, and then you'd have to litigate the legitimacy of the pardon. But the scary thing about this, scary is not a strong enough word. He is simply testing the limits of our judicial system and testing the limits of our law. And while his minions are claiming that, this is the judge's fault and that they should be impeached, the fact of the matter is that what he is doing and trying to do is lawless.
He's following the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. You're a lecturer at Harvard. That's not lawless. But he did call for the judge's impeachment. Chief Justice John Roberts engaging the rebuke. For more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose. I get the argument made by Roberts, although I don't think any argument was necessary. That if you're going to say we're going to respect the judiciary and uphold the judiciary and its role, there are other things you can do. Don't be making this kind of claim. This is bad precedent that you're setting, President Trump. I get that. But I don't think that Trump should listen to this judge at all. District court judge deciding immigration policy. I didn't vote for him. No thanks. Trump should continue to do what he does, pay no mind, and let the Supreme Court chime in if they choose. Otherwise, 77 million Americans voted. Trump's the president, and immigration policy is under his purview. And if the House and the Senate want to get together and write a law, more power to them. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. didn't mean to repeat that. I apologize, guys. Good enough. I didn't get, there's so many comments. I didn't get to them. I apologize, guys. Now, see, I cannot say that Amy Coney Barrett lied about who she is. She has made some decisions that I do not like. But I don't think she lied about, I don't think Amy Coney Barrett lied about who she is. Roberts was a bad pick. Roberts was a bad pick. And the worst part about Roberts is that his whole modus operandi has been, let's not politicize the courts. We can't politicize the courts. Seems that's all he's done going back to Obamacare. Well, if you call it a tax, then it's lawful. Oh, well, then it's a tax. The Obama administration had argued up and down that it was not a tax. And there was the Supreme Court giving them the out. Really unforgivable. Truly, truly unforgivable. I feel differently about Amy Coney Barrett. But I agree. A couple decisions as of late that I'm just not happy with in the slightest. But when we take a look at the last session for the Supreme Court, there were a great number of things that I was like, yep, good, terrific, wonderful. All the way up and down the line. We're coming back to the show. JD Vance doing JD Vance things. Speaking today and sharing his view on things like tariffs.
Now, first, President Trump is starting with, and is dead serious, about rearranging our trade and tariff regime internationally. We believe that tariffs are a necessary tool to protect our jobs and our industries from other countries, as well as the labor value of our workers in a globalized market. In fact, combined with the right technology, they allow us to bring jobs back to the United States of America and create the jobs of the future. Just look in the past few months at the auto industry as an important example. When you erect a tariff wall around a critical industry like auto manufacturing, and you combine that with advanced robotics and lower energy costs and other tools that increase the productivity of U.S. labor, you give American workers a multiplying effect. Now that in turn allows firms to make things here at a price competitive basis. Our president gets that, which is why last month we posted 9,000 new auto jobs after many, many years of stagnation or even decline in the auto sector. It's why just weeks in, we already have new planner production announcements from Honda, from Hyundai and Stellantis worth billions of dollars and thousands of additional jobs on top of the ones that were already created.
If you ever wanted to know whether or not JD Vance is a real life populist, he just answered the question for you. A true believer in the tariffs, because what he has true opposition to is globalism.
Because there were two conceits that our leadership class had when it came to globalization. The first is assuming that we can separate the making of things from the design of things. The idea of globalization was that rich countries would move further up the value chain while the poor countries made the simpler things. You would open an iPhone box and it would say designed in Cupertino, California. Now, the implication, of course, is that it would be manufactured in Shenzhen or somewhere else. And yeah, some people might lose their jobs in manufacturing, but they could learn to design, or to use a very popular phrase, learn to code. But I think we got it wrong. It turns out that the geographies that do the manufacturing get awfully good at the designing of things.
Yeah. Nah, it's true. So even the populist, which I am not, doesn't make everything wrong. Worthy of more discussion. We'll do that in the days ahead. This is Tony Katz today. I had this guy on Twix. You are such a crybaby bitch. Your people attacked our capital because your guy lost. Who the blank are you to talk about violence? I'm Tony Katz. That's who I am. Hi, how are you? I'll talk about anything I want, Craig. You're not going to stop me. You're not going to. You scream at somebody on social media. It matters. Dear Lord. Enjoy dying a virgin. I don't know what to tell you. Good Lord. I'll talk about anything. You don't have to listen. It's okay, boo-boo. Go live your life. I don't know. I don't know what kind of life it is. It doesn't seem exciting to me, but you do you. Meanwhile, guys, I got to run. We're getting there. We are getting there bit by bit and piece by piece with this show. The more the merrier. By the way, Wendy, I think that's a solid argument. It's just so refreshing to have a VP who can give a speech with substance. Yes. That is a fine overarching statement, right? Even if I don't agree with all of it, because I'm not a populist, right? I don't agree with certain parts of it. I can agree with him. I can agree with you that he is a breath of fresh air, is a bright guy, brings an idea, and then we can actually debate the idea as opposed to debating what exactly is she saying. Because that woman doesn't make any sense. So she's so embarrassing. I appreciate you guys. I'm glad that you're here. Tickets.tonykatz.com to get your tickets for Trump and American Reset in 3 bourbons, and go to vonreist.com. Look at the beauty. Look at it. The small seconds munchener right there. Swiss mechanical movement, and you can get yours at Von Reist, RIESTE, vonreist.com. Use promo code CATS and get the deal. Appreciate you guys quite a bit. I am out. I will see you tomorrow. Take care.